Do you remember Mark and Debbie Constantino from the show Ghost Adventures? Well, they have a tragic story. Mark and Debbie Constantino were a couple for a long time and they gained notoriety as a ghost hunting couple. They were really good friends with the Ghost Adventures crew and thus they were invited out to be a part of episodes and investigations multiple times throughout the Ghost Adventures series. Here are some screenshots of their appearances on the show. Here's Debbie and here's Mark. They were constantly featured on Ghost Adventures and they were one of the couples that appeared all the time. People knew them. But there was trouble behind the scenes. They actually had a very abusive relationship and domestic violence was common between the two of them. Earlier in the year that Debbie was murdered, the police were called by Mark because apparently she had slashed him with a butcher knife, but she would never see court. Then just a week or so before the murders happened, Debbie actually called the police because Mark and the couple's daughter had pulled her out of a car, dragged her inside of a home, and beaten her to almost death. Debbie suffered a broken nose and she was afraid for her life, and Mark and his daughter were arrested. And since kidnapping is typically a no-bond charge, which means that you'll be held in jail until your trial, but a local judge made a tragic mistake and let Mark and his daughter out on bond. A week later, the police were called because a woman came home and found that one of her roommates was dead. And her other roommate, Debbie Constantino, Mark's wife, who had moved out of the family home, was missing. Police then tracked Mark's cell phone and found Debbie and Mark holed up inside of an apartment. There was a standoff with SWAT officers. Mark was threatening and yelling things out. And eventually, using explosives, the SWAT team blew open the door to the apartment where they found Debbie dead and Mark dead as well. He had murdered her and then took his own life. Obviously, this was huge news because the couple was on Ghost Adventures so frequently. They were mainstays at paranormal conventions. People knew their website and their work. And it made a lot of people question, was this some sort of darkness that was brought on by paranormal investigating? I personally don't think so. I think that it just had to do with some sort of mental illness and obviously deep issues with domestic abuse and all of that. But either way, it's such a tragic situation. But if you like true crime and you like murder stories, go listen to the podcast I co-host, my fiance, Murder in America. We just covered a brutal murder story from New Orleans, Louisiana, one of our favorite murder stories. The link is in my bio. You can listen for free on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we've actually been trending lately. Thanks to everybody who's been listening and tuning in. We appreciate you all so much. And obviously that was a tragic story that I just told you guys, so RIP to Debbie Constantino and the other roommate who was killed, who still, I believe, remains unnamed.